evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for watching our show tonight. We have a guest, Tonya Bee, who is with us tonight, and we're going to talk about some transgender issues. I want to make sure that you understand that this is an interactive show, and you can call us at 312-736-1060. Again, that's 312-738-1060. The show is brought to you by the Civil Rights Agenda, which is at 2129 North Chicago. Phone number 773-235-8852. They are looking for any volunteers if you want to volunteer to help for them, with them, whatever. Anyway, I am Jackie Whoa! We lost. Did we go off? Oh, there we go. Okay. Thought I lost it. I've been accused of it anyway, several times. Anyway, so welcome back after that little glitch. I am Jackie McKethan, and we are here the third Friday of every month, and we invite questions, comments, good comments, and try to keep the questions as short as possible, but we certainly like to hear from you. And so I'm going to now tell us a little bit about yourself, Tonya.
Well, I just passed the 47-year mark. I work. I try to live best I can.
What do you do?
Actually, I drive a truck.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, I got some questions to ask you about that. Anyway, no. You live in Indiana, right?
Michigan.
Or Michigan.
Yes.
What is it like, because Michigan, I think, is one of the 30 states that have not passed any equal rights legislation for the transgender community.
I haven't really seen a lot of discrimination personally. One, because I'm not full time for one, and and I don't know. I think there's a lot more rhetoric going around than actual practice of discrimination. I just think there's that. When you're confronted with people actually in public, they're not as bad, or if they see that you're not the demon that you're purported to be by right-wing media sources and, frankly, the president.
Okay. And that makes sense. Well, living in Chicago, I have certainly, and you and I talked a little bit about this before we came on the air about, I'm almost sure that there's probably, oh, we have a caller. Hello, caller.
Well, hello, ladies.
Hello.
Good evening. Hi, this is Paula.
Hi, Paula.
Hello, Paula.
How you doing tonight, Jackie and Tonya? You look beautiful on TV.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. Quick question, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Okay, Illinois, when did they pass it where a same-sex marriage could be married legally? Do you know what year that was, ladies?
Okay, let me answer it this way. I'm not sure about same-sex marriage. I know that in 2005, Illinois was one of the most recent states to pass legislation that gave equality in the job, in housing, and in public conveniences to the LGBT community.
Okay.
Now, the sad part is that there's only 20 states that actually protect transgenders in those areas as far as job, housing, and
And marriage.
Didn't
Marriage
Obama's
is,
mandate last year, or open that door for same-sex marriage?
see, what I'm trying to find out is if I wanted to get married, like last year, was 2017.
Right.
Are you allowed to get married in the state of Illinois? I
Yes.
can have a wife?
Yes.
Okay, I could give her my name, and we kind of like go into a little family, just like if you two were on TV were to get married to each other. I don't
Right.
know if you know each other that well, but if you do, if you two on TV wanted to get, it's absolutely legitimate, right?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, that's basically all I wanted to know. I'm fighting for you guys. Keep your rights going. Keep your hearts open. Help your fellow man and help each other. And we're all behind you. God bless you and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Paula.
you.
Thank you very much for your call and for your comments. It's interesting if you're still listening and watching, which I imagine you have to do both rather than one or the other. Anyway, we were Tonya and I were talking before the show, and Illinois, and as you brought up, Illinois is a very friendly state towards the LGBT community, especially transgenders. It's very safe here. Unlike 30 states in the country that do not protect transgenders, okay? There's 30 states, which is 60% of the states, that have not yet passed any legislation allowing equality for transgenders as far as jobs, as far as housing, as far as using basic public conveniences.
I'd be
Okay.
curious to know what the demographics of that were, whether those were Republican states or Democrat-controlled states.
Well, most of them are Republican, okay? All of our neighbors, Missouri, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Tennessee, all are red states, and none of them have passed anything, okay? All of the states from North Dakota down to Texas, that whole line of states, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, they are all blue states, okay? Most of the southern states are, and a few of the western states. But what I guess I'm hoping happens one of these days is I truly believe, and Tonya and I talked about it, I truly believe that there is a lot more tolerance, acceptance, and tendencies to not worry about.
Do the right thing.
Right. And I think it's probably maybe 60-70%. The problem is, and this is why I liked Paula calling, because a lot of those people do not verbally, show that kind of appreciation or acceptance as Paula did. And that's one thing we're striving for. That's one thing I'm striving for with the show, is to try to show people that we're no different.
No,
Yeah.
we're the same as everybody else. I mean, we work, we have jobs, we live, we have families. We basically do everything that anybody else does. We just do it in a dress.
Right. Well, we wear different clothes,
Yes.
like, and you can go back centuries and centuries and find
Men actually wore dresses
Exactly.
and originated high heels,
Right.
powdered wigs.
And well, they wore
Right.
Revolutionary days. They liked satin and nylon,
There were signs of nobility.
and
Them.
and go even further back. And a lot of countries, the men wore skirts or dresses or whatever you want to call them. And
Do they still do that in Scotland?
they still wear, well, Scotland and Ireland, they still
Yeah.
wear kilts.
Kilts?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. I don't know that they do it every single day. But I'll tell you what, and Ireland especially, Ireland and Scotland both are really trans friendly. They have a huge population. So, but yeah, it is, and like Tonya said, I mean, we bleed the same color. Inside are all the same organs that anybody else has. A heart, you know.
We have the same needs as everybody else. I mean, we just want to live, be left alone, with our rights intact, and the same rights as everybody else has. We're no different than anybody else.
Absolutely. I think, you know what I think, because I've seen this happen. My ex-wife has a brother-in-law who got very mad at one of his daughters for inviting me and my ex-wife over to her house for a Thanksgiving dinner one time. And he actually called her and chewed her out for allowing me to be in the house with her two high school age kids, because he thought that me being transgender was going to rub off on them, and that I was a poor example.
I've heard that too, in regards to teachers, transgender teachers. There's a few very high-profile ones. Karen Adele Scott, out there in California, comes to mind. I mean, she's been doing her job for over 20 years, I believe, and she transitioned on the job, and she regularly gets some backlash for just being who she is.
Right.
You know, the students seem to accept her more than the faculty she works with, actually.
That doesn't surprise me.
Which is wrong. I mean, and they say she's the same person. She's just looks a little different now. I mean, to people who don't understand it, you know, they need to stop and get to know some transgender people, and get to know them, especially if you're friends with them. Okay, and they come out to you, don't think that they're changing. They're still the same person. They're the same person that you always known and liked.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's almost like there's a certain segment of the population that feels like we are out to recruit and convert.
They said the same thing about gay people too,
Mm-hmm.
and they proved that wasn't true. And this will go away eventually, but politicians now they're dragging it on. They're feeding the hate. They're feeding the mistrust for people not like them.
That's true. That's true. Well, the thing that kind of annoys me is the fact that transgenders have been around for 3,000 years. 500 years BC or before, the American Indians accepted transgenders. The Hindu culture accepted transgenders. In fact, contracted with them because they thought that transgenders actually could see both the male and the female side of a problem. So they would invite them in to try to discuss a problem. Actually, the Muslim community accepted transgenders
In
too.
the early Indian culture, it is a plus. It is actually believed a two-spirit
Right, just like the Hindus.
celebrated.
Right, yeah. So, you know, and I think you touched on a point there that there are many that are ignorant that just don't want to try to learn something. And that's the sad part.
Yes, truly.
Yeah, that's a sad part. Because, this religious thing is so non-religious.
No, that is one of the biggest problems that we have, anywhere. I can't even say in the country, in this world, that the people who believe in some kind of religion, I mean, what kind of God do you believe in if they advocate for hate against any group of people who who don't want to harm anybody.
That's true. Yeah, God is supposed to be all about love, you know,
And their agenda is the furthest thing away from the actual teachings of God.
absolutely. So, you know, there's a lot of things that need, but you know, we don't have a federal government that wants to understand all of that. We have states that do, and what I don't understand is if the states that already do have legislation can understand it, then why can't
All the states that have passed legislation protecting transgender people, they were told before it happened that there would be attacks in the bathrooms, all this fear propaganda, and those areas, even cities that passed legislation protecting transgender people, none of it came to fruition. It was all hype and just blown way out of proportion. And they found that the statistics are that actually it was just blown out of proportion.
true?
They couldn't, there was no more attacks. I don't think there has been any documented attack of sexual assault by any transgender in the bathroom.
No, there hasn't. There's absolutely no record anywhere in this country of a transgender assaulting a female in the women's room. And so, you know, but you're right. I mean, it's stories that are passed on by people that are prejudiced and want to continue that prejudice all down the line. You know, it's almost like they've got an agenda.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. Agenda of hate. And I mean, it's nothing what Jesus taught. I mean, they should be open, accepting, and we have to work to educate these people. Basically, we do that by being out in public, by showing people, being the example. Okay, you may be the only trans person that these people have ever encountered. So it's incumbent upon you to make a good impression upon them. You know, even if you don't pass or you're pegged as a transgender, which very, very few of us can genuinely pass, you know, meaning be taken for a natal woman, whatever, or natal man in the MTF or FTM, you know, case, whatever. So, I mean, we have to be out there and put our best foot forward at all times when we deal with the public.
And I've been promoting an idea that we need to get more transgenders involved in some things like, I am a vice commander of an American Legion post, okay? It's all guys. And I'm vice commander. They voted me as vice commander, and they are learning that, you know, there's not that big a difference in me. I also am a Girl Scout leader, and I also belong to the National Organization for Women. And I try to get involved in areas where I can mix with the general public and let them see that there's more to me than what they think they see.
Right.
You know, and that's what I would encourage all transgenders to, you know, maybe take baby steps or put your toe in the water or something, but you know, check out some of these things where maybe you can get involved in a group, and not so much a support group for transgenders. That's a social thing, but get involved in if you're a vet, the American Legion or the VFW.
Regular community interaction.
Right.
Is
exactly.
the key.
Absolutely.
The problem is we see a lot of trans people were relegated to gay bars and, you know, and the sort, and most of us won't go into any, straight establishments, to socialize for fear of being ostracized or assaulted in some cases, and I like to go out. When I go out, I like to go wherever I want to go. If I want to go to Walmart, I go to Walmart.
Right.
I go bowling. I mean, and most of the interactions I've had have been positive.
Right.
And I think that's because I project a little positivity and a little confidence. I didn't used to be that way. I used to avoid confrontations.
Mm-hmm.
First going out, I remember, just you see somebody in the store, you go the other way or something, and now I look at them and I walk right past them. I might even smile at them or compliment their shoes or something.
No, that's true. I early on, when I was first just cross-dressing, I would dress up and go into local bars and stuff like that. I made sure, what I did is I made sure that there weren't a lot of cars in the parking lot.
Right.
Okay, and then that way I said, okay, there's a limited number of people in here. I can probably run faster than them. Especially at the bars if they've had too much.
For all you girls out there, they're just getting your feet wet, so to say. Okay, you'll have that initial fear, when you first get out of your vehicle to walk into a big store or any place, and take my word for it, enjoy it right now while it lasts, because there's going to come a time where it's going to be old hat. You'll be so used to it, and I mean, you'll go in there and be like any other time.
Right. It's amazing. To me, of course, people in my community are pretty much used to me now, via Facebook, via being at some of these, different community involvements. But even when I did start, you'd be surprised at how many people are politically correct, and regardless of what they may think, they're getting better at saying, I'll take the person at their worth, at what they're showing me, so she looks like a girl, I'll call her man. And you can't be afraid. One thing I would like to say, and it's not a downer, it's not meant to be a downer, because there's a reason why this happens, but I know a lot of transgenders, especially cross-dressers in the beginning of a later age, like to get very bizarre in the way they dress sometimes.
Exhibitionist, maybe.
Well, you know what it is, and I figured this out. What it is it's, you find out at a later age that, okay, what I didn't know about, I now know about.
Right.
Okay, so if I'm going to step into that lane,
you come to a point in your journey that you realize that it's not going away. It's always there. I mean, many of us, we grow up, being told by everybody, by society in general, that what we're doing is wrong, and we shouldn't be that way. We should just act like boys, and men, whatever. But there's this little girl inside that's just clawing there. And you try to beat her down. Sports, hobbies, whatever. After a while, you can't ignore it. It's still there. It maintains. It's a constant, and you have to accept it after a while. When you finally accept it and realize that, hey, it's not going away. This is how it is. I mean, I could either accept it or I could be miserable for the rest of my life. And at that point is when you start to free yourself.
When did you first know? When did you first really know what was going on?
I had inclinations when I was young. I had longer hair, even as a boy, and I got caught, dressing my sister, I had two older sisters, which made that convenient, right? Okay, and yeah, so I mean, it was always there, and during high school, just sneaking here and there, never daring to go out or anything,
Right.
that was always a private activity.
So how did your sisters feel about it?
Well, my one sister, I came out to her a few years back, and basically I sent her a picture of myself, and I asked her, said, "Do you know who this is?" He said, "Kind of looks like you." I was like, "Yeah, it is me. I'm TG." And she's very accepting. I mean, she lives in Joliet here, and she's been nothing but great for me. I mean, she's total support. And it's funny. The first time she actually saw me presenting. I came into town for some other reason. I had some business, and she asked me to come over to the house, and I was kind of worried about my brother-in-law being there. And she comes in, and she's really accepting. And my brother-in-law pulls in the driveway right when I show up, and he is perfectly accepting as well, which I mean, I couldn't be happier.
That's great. Okay, we're running out of time here, and first of all, I want to thank Tonya for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And being on the show. She gave us a lot of insight, information, I think, and I hope it was for you as well. But I will be back in February, the third Friday. I don't know yet who the guest will be, but I thank you very much for tuning in. I thank those who called in for calling in and commenting and so on. And I hope that you will all be back next month. I believe the third Friday is the 16th. So we should be back here on February 16th. Until then, remember that we are brought to you by the Civil Rights Agenda. And they are very, very good at sponsoring us. So anyway, from all of us here to all of you out there, until February 16th, goodbye.